So there are some views and some pictures in that song that Beth just sang about. Anybody notice as you look at the news or you pay attention to what's happening in this world from one side to the other, that there might be a call for a change? Something that wants to happen, and you can feel the call and the movement of something when it says this has to be different. And what we always say, we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. And what that reflects as we watch the news is we're looking at a surface. We're looking at a relative existence, our human existence, and not looking beyond the veil. And our job as spiritual seekers is to look beyond the veil to something more profound, something more beautiful that's underneath it all. Today, we're calling that rhythm. There's a heartbeat, an essence, a divine meter and cadence to spiritual reality. And our job is to look beyond the chaos of what's happening out here to that heartbeat that is underneath. And the change will come from the view, from the awareness, and not from the consternation and the worry and the resistance and the fight. We look to the heartbeat of God first here, then we can see it out here. As a context for the talk today, I'm going to go back to the book of Ecclesiastes. We don't talk much about Ecclesiastes because it's like Revelations. It's one of those books that's a little bit scary. Just a little bit scary, but there's some beautiful words in there. And we read in Ecclesiastes 3, it was not a song. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Say that with me. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. As we look at all this stuff, it's got a purpose. There's a heartbeat through it. There's something happening there. And our job is to look for the purpose, to live and cooperate with that sense of purpose. The book of Ecclesiastes basically is Solomon's wrestling and struggling to try and find peace. Wrestling and struggling and trying to find some semblance of order. And he eventually comes to the place where he writes the words, to everything there is a season. There is a meter. I'd like to invite Lorelei Robbins to come up now. We always celebrate the cycles of Earth. We celebrate all of the cosmos and how they are all in a great place of synergy. And she's our resident expert when it comes to the stars. And I'm going to have her speak a little bit about the rhythm of what's happening at the spring equinox.
Good morning, everybody. Let me just ask you a question before I start. How many of you are ready to rebirth the hero in you? Oh, yes! Right? So Richard's been talking about the journey of the hero. Well, we all have that opportunity, obviously, every moment. But from a cosmic perspective, we have that opportunity at the spring equinox, which is coming on Tuesday at 12:16 p.m. So I invite you to let yourself be in whatever's going on in your life, wherever you're feeling any kind of victim or sad or scared or confused, because we're coming to the end of a cycle. And when we come to the end of a cycle, we get to empty out. We get to dump, if you will. And this is a time, in order to rebirth the hero in you, to do that. There's no question that there's so much going on the planet now and so many opportunities to be afraid, but to know that within we have the strength, we have the courage, we have the confidence, because we're living from the Lord of our being. So the spring equinox, which also happens to come in a new moon energy, we're in a new moon now, and the spring equinox will still be in a new moon, which means that underscores the opportunity for something new. So when we talk about a change, this is an opportunity, you've all heard this, to be the change that you seek. Aries energy calls forth from all of us the courage that each of us had to be born to come into this lifetime, to come into this body for the experience that we're having. So I invite you between now and 12:16 p.m. on Tuesday to really be with yourself, to really see that every single circumstance and experience in your life has brought you to where you are today as the hero in your life. So if I may leave you with lyrics from a song, what is it? When you feel that hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see that the hero lies in you and in me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. So the universe, the cosmos, is in a cycle. It's been happening for centuries. Since the beginning of time, there's movement. Things are born, things die. A time for every purpose under heaven. And when we are in cooperation with it, and we're dancing with these changes and cycles, we find the peace that Solomon was seeking. Solomon couldn't find it until he began to realize, I need to be in partnership with the universe. I need to be in partnership with the people in my life that also have a rhythm. There's a cycle here, and we begin to develop a dance. And in the dance will be the greater freedom. Now, it's counterintuitive. We think, well, as Solomon did, let me fight that because it's all about me, myself, and I. And sometimes in a New Thought mindset, it's just about me. It's about me and my vibration. Yes, that's the starting point for all dances, but I must be able to dance with you, or I've created a system of duality, a system of separation. So I must be equally as reverent about the vibration that you are, about the meter that you are, about the good that you are bringing to the planet. And we, together, when we do that and we meet in the middle, a greater rhythm begins, because it's all anchored to a heartbeat of God, a heartbeat of life, a heartbeat of the cosmos, which is absolute, which is eternal, which is immortal. Our human ego will say, let's break free from that, and look at these cycles, these energies as limiting, which is what Solomon did, until Solomon woke up and said, there might be something greater that wants to happen here. So, I want to share a little bit about my first time in a drum circle. I was in a men's retreat. I was very young. And they announced that on Saturday we were going to go into a very small room with 100 men, smelly, stinky, sweaty men. And we're going to drum for an hour. And it's like, oh my God. Drum for an hour? This is not my idea of fun. This was not my idea of spirituality. But I signed up for the retreat, so here I go. And I walked into the room, and they immediately told me, we want you to sit at the mother drum. The mother drum is the one in the middle of the room where 4 guys are sitting around. You can see kind of a mother drum there. And you're all 4 going to play together. And it's like, oh, great. Not only am I going to be drumming, but now I have to do the same thing that 3 other guys are doing. They said, follow, just follow, you'll be just fine. So we sat down, and you mind if I touch the drum, is that okay? And they said, okay, you give us a heartbeat in the middle of the room. Now I'm a musician. That is boring as hell to me. And like Solomon, I went, this is so limiting. I can't be free. I cannot be free at all here. But then around the room, 100 smelly, stinky, sweaty men began to create chaos. And it was pure chaos. Most of these guys had no sense of rhythm whatsoever. But it began to feel different, I guess because I chose to feel differently. And it felt like chaos, but we kept the heartbeat going as the anchor. And as it went on, the 4 of us had an unspoken agreement that it was okay to color outside the lines a little bit. So I began to do a rhythm on the mother drum that was different. And the most amazing thing happened in the midst of this loud, it was wild, it was chaotic. Somebody on the other side of the room I had never met answered my call. Whoa! I made a connection. Somehow, without language, somehow, in the midst of what looked like turmoil, there was a rhythm that united us and connected us. So I changed the rhythm. From behind me, somebody I never saw, I don't know who it was, I connected. Wow. And it was, if you walked into the room, you would have went, what is this noise? But in the midst of the noise was something so beautifully profound, because this was continuing underneath it all. I thought, what a beautiful metaphor for life. And what happened? That which was supposed to be an hour-long meditation that I was dreading, it began to subside and get quiet. And 2.5 hours later, I went, yeah, baby. Because I had connected with 100 sweaty, smelly guys at a place that was so profound and so beautiful that we no longer needed any words. We sat in the silence for just a moment. And it came, one, from my willingness to answer the music that was in me. Number two, to listen to the heartbeat that was happening at the mother drum. The willingness to carry the heartbeat for somebody else when it was their turn. And the willingness for them to carry the heartbeat of God for me when I wanted to go nuts and become animal, the Muppet. That's a wonderful analogy for this life. As we look at the news and we look at the world and the situation of our human condition, it can look like a chaotic drum circle with people we don't understand. How could you possibly think that way? How could that vibration have any positive influence on humanity at all? Our job is to return to the heartbeat of God. And to not resist necessarily what is happening there, but to meet that person, to meet that situation at a deeper vibration, at a deeper cadence and a deeper meter, and thus find what unity calls law. Law. Our individual rhythms are going to be unique. Yes, fly your freak flag. Fly your freak flag, but always do it from a context that there's something underneath it, back of it all, that is holy and sacred and beautiful and wonderful. It's God. It's a rhythm. I don't care what you call it. Charles Filmer says it this way. Please say this with me. We got the quote up there together. Law and order are back of all manifestation. All creation is working through an evolutionary process under law. When we cooperate with law, this is God. It's another name for God, law. Repeatable processes, things put in place so that we can create the heaven on earth that we desire. We're really good here at Unity North about God as love. That feels so good. The Papa wants to hold me and love me, but God, Papa so loved you and so loved the world that Papa gave an internal rhythm. The manifestation ability, the ability to create, will be in direct proportion to where you are listening, out here or in here. That heartbeat is not an accent. I mentioned the Fibonacci circles, Fibonacci numbers. Leonardo Fibonacci. Let's go back to that slide if we can. Everything is based on order and law. Everything. It shows up in the art of a seashell. It shows up in the art of your ear. It shows up in your body. It shows up in the cosmos. Everything is in a magnificent rhythmic dance of creation. Now you can look at a rose and you can go, well, that's beautiful, and it is beautiful. And then you can look beyond that and see, oh my gosh, there's geometric patterns here based upon numbers. Everything played at that piano is based upon numbers. And its beauty emerges from it. It starts with law. Law comes first. Law comes first, then love emerges. And we so much like Solomon don't want to cooperate with law. So we say in unity, thoughts become things. By law, what you are rhythmically thinking and repeating in your head over and over again is manifesting in your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Because the numbers, they say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, the law is going to respond. The drumbeat is going to respond to exactly the direction that you give it. We must begin to pay attention to the drumbeat and the heartbeat that we are putting out into the world. How many people here dance? Have ever danced with a partner? Yeah, most people won't dance with me. Some things have to happen. And on the spiritual journey, it's a fantastic metaphor. First and foremost, if you're going to dance, you have to get in touch with the internal music. How do I move and groove? Now you're seeing why people won't dance with me. You got to learn to move and groove with how the music is coming through your filter, through your body, through every cell of your being. In touch with the music of God. This is what it feels like for me. And so many of us think that's all we have to do. Well, no. I look at the news. There's somebody dancing on the news. Somebody dancing at a political place. Somebody dancing at work. Their rhythm doesn't match mine. It feels like I'm in a drum circle of 800 men, all sweaty, smelly, and it's chaos. What is my job? To begin to be the heartbeat for the chaos. And they begin to hook in mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically with the people around me that I don't understand. It doesn't mean allow them to pull you to their meter, but it says, let me see what you're thinking here. Let me seek first to understand before I go all crazy, letting you be enveloped by my rhythm. And in that simple, soft, humble, and vulnerable place, we can meet at a deeper place, and that is the heartbeat of God. And then our greatest freedom to express the way we want to express will come in the partnership. We dance, and if I'm not in touch with your rhythm, I'm going to step all over your feet, or you're going to step all over mine. I believe the world is screaming, saying, stop stepping on each other's feet. Listen. Pay attention. There's something more profound operating here. We call it God in unity. A drummer might call it rhythm. I don't care what you call it, but I do hope that you're listening, because when both of us are doing that, there's a greater rhythm that happens. Things spiral upward and become more profound, become more beautiful, and then co-creation happens. You want to change the planet, we also say, change your, be the change you want to see. When two or more are gathered in that energy of making a change, and we are dancing, guess what? It's being caught. The waves and the vibrations like ripples upon a pond, which is, by the way, Fibonacci circles, which is rhythm. It's all connected. Life changes oceans away, lands away. And so many of us are walking around, I can't possibly make a difference. But if you are living in that place of rhythm where you are dancing with who you're dancing with, you're making a difference in places that you will never, ever know. Jesus said this in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and then I'm going to turn it over to our guest today. I have come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. Let's read this together. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. Jesus brought a new vibration to the planet. A new frequency was brought to the planet. But he wanted to clearly say, I'm not here to have my frequency overpower the frequencies of what led to this moment. We have a foundation. And so many people come into Unity North and they say, well, I'm a recovering Catholic. You are not recovering from anything. You are building upon a vibration that is eternal. It may have gotten twisted. It may have looked like chaos, 100 guys making a bunch of noise. But the heartbeat is there. And our job is to fulfill the divine law, the divine order and pattern that is everywhere, and to do it by playing our part in the symphony of rhythm that is life evolving, like circles on the pond. We have somebody here today, Eric Olson, who, Eric Olson is a drummer. Was that an amen or a sneeze? He is, I called him a percussionist, and he says, I'm not a percussionist, I'm a drummer. I think he's a percussionist. I think he's a drummer. I think he's a wonderful teacher. I think he is a fantastic humanitarian, and he is making ripples in his small corner of the universe that is affecting the entire planet, and I'm delighted to have a little bit of that vibration here today. Please welcome Eric Olson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eric. I'm a drummer. Last time I drummed was about 2 seconds ago. At this rate, I'll never get my chip, right? You know. Oh, wait, this isn't Drummers Anonymous? Oh, okay, all right. All right, I have a question for you. I always like to start my drum circles after we've warmed up a little bit to see how many of you in the audience don't think you actually have rhythm or can play a drum. I'd like to see a show of hands. How many would say, I can't do that. I don't have rhythm. I can't do that. My hands won't work. A couple of you. All right, a couple. All right, so I expect to see every single one of you at my next drum circle then, right? All of you who kept your hands down, you're going to come to my drum circle, and we're going to make some really good music together, right? Is that all going to be awesome? It'll be fun, I know, right? Okay, so those of you who raised your hands, keep that in mind for later, because there will be a pop quiz. It's not hard, I promise. So what actually happens when you hit a drum? A drum is not just something you hit. It's something you talk with. It's your voice. The drum is the oldest instrument that we have besides our voice. We were using it as a tribal community back in the day to say, look out, there's a big buffalo coming, or look out, there's a buffalo coming. That means dinner. So, you know, I mean, we've been using drums for centuries to communicate with each other, to connect with each other, to bring communities together and celebrate. It's amazing to what the drum can do. In African culture, the drum is a sacred thing. In West Africa, they have rhythms for everything. And I mean everything. Whether it's coming of age, whether it's healing, whether it's weddings, whether it's deaths, whether it's just jamming out and having a good time. They have rhythms for everything, and it's an amazing culture to study and learn from and apply to the instrument of the drum. Now, you're thinking, well, that's a lot to take in. Well, yeah. I mean, the drum is not just an instrument or a tool. It's something that you can manifest with. Reverend Richard was talking about manifesting when playing the drum, because that's what you do. You hit a drum, you create something. It's a note, single beat. But it's only one beat. It's only one beat. What happens when you put two together? Now you have rhythm. Even with one, you still have rhythm. Now you got two. And there's a rhythm there. Now you're tapping into it. Now you're listening. How many of you saw August Rush, the movie? My favorite quote from any movie is from this kid. I almost tear up every time I say it. The music is all around us. All we have to do is listen. And it is. It's all around you. It's even inside of you. Your heart beats. Your lungs breathe. Your body functions. Your rhythm is inside of you constantly. From the microscopic level of your atoms, which are constantly moving and vibrating and spinning and whirling, even when you're dead asleep at night and not moving, you are. You have rhythm. To the macrocosmic universe, which we really still don't understand, rhythm is everywhere, and you are a part of it. So don't tell me you don't have rhythm. So I'm going to point at you and say, okay, have a drum. Let's play. Show me. When I started out, professionally, I was about 19 years old, and I hadn't played drums since I was 8, about 8 years old. And I met this guy, very charismatic gentleman, drummer. His name was Gary Stone. We were just hanging out at his shop, playing and having a great time, and I was sitting there just listening. I wasn't doing anything. I was just watching the spectacle, this band take over and have a good time. And he said, "You're a drummer, right?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I played a few years ago." He said, "Pay me the sticks," and said, "Okay, show me what you can do." I haven't played a drum in years. So I sit down behind the kit, and just like Richard at his drum circles, and 2.5 hours had gone by, I swear it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and by that time we were like, whoa! We went to Waffle House and had coffee after that. It was great. I didn't realize it had happened. Next thing I know, I have a band, and I'm playing, and I'm doing something with it. This rhythm that I have inside of me. So, to liken another movie here, the rhythm that you have inside of you is a lot like the Force from Star Wars. It's everywhere. It's in the trees. It's in the rocks. It's in you. You can use it. So I challenge you to use your rhythm. Express it. Come to my drum circles. Express your rhythm. It's a lot of fun, especially when you tap into it for the first time and you're saying to yourself, wow, I just did that. I love it when that happens. It's amazing. It really is. You not only have a heartbeat, you not only have lungs that breathe in and out. When you walk, you have rhythm. There's a rhythm. For you Monty Python fans out there, you can do the, silly walk and have a kind of fun like that. That's kind of neat. I wouldn't recommend that, though. You might, find yourself in a padded cell for the night. But that's beside the point. They're walking, you have rhythm. So there's something there. Speech is another factor of rhythm. And I have to say, I get fascinated by rappers because of the rhythm that they use to convey their messages. Showing my age here. I'll never forget when I first heard Run DMC do a song called It's Tricky back in the day. It's tricky to rock a rhyme that's right on time, it's tricky. I said, that is cool, right? Rappers are amazing with what they can do with words. I mean, Eminem has a record for the most number of rhymes in a single sentence, and to have that sentence actually make sense. It's like 26 words that rhymed in a sentence. It's weird, but it made sense. And he does stuff with rhythm and words that is not easy. But he tapped into it, and he's doing something with his words that is incredible. So you have speech. And one of the greatest djembe folas, djembe master of all time, Babatunde Alatunde, he said, if you can say it, you can play it. If you say it, you can play it. And I'll give you an example. How many of you, you know me, I like to make movie references. The movie Tap with Gregory Hines and Sammy Davis Jr. Seen it? All right, so you know the scene I'm about to talk to. He's in the bar. He's got this group of people, and they're asking him questions. Where did your dad learn how to dance? He said, follow me. They go out into the streets of the city. And then listen to the city around you. Next thing you know, a car goes over one of those metal grates that covers a pothole. And he says, hear that? Now what I hear is, ba-dee-ah, ba-dee-ah. Say that. Ba-dee-ah, ba-dee-ah. One more time. Ba-dee-ah, ba-dee-ah. Next thing you know, he's tapping it. And everybody's like, oh, okay. And I can't tap dance, but just don't do that thing. So I can't tap dance. And next thing you know, this whole dance scene breaks out. And it's in the 80s, so of course it gets really cheesy. The band brings out the instruments, and they're doing this all around a construction site. It's really dangerous. They probably got arrested. Who knows? But the point is, he said it, and then they tapped it. Isn't that cool? Here's another one. Again, going back to West Africa, if you say it, you can play it. I want you guys to say this after me. We are very good drummers. We are very good drummers. Keep that. If you say it, you can play it. Your speech has rhythm. Isn't that cool? That's from the Kasa rhythm, which is just a celebration of life. It's a beautiful rhythm. And when all the parts are put together and there's this chaos, usually of 8 sweaty, smelly men drumming, the women are usually dancing and having the show, where the guys are holding the space for them to dance. And it's an amazing chaos. So if you haven't experienced West African rhythm, give it a listen. It'll change your perspective on rhythm completely. I guarantee it. So, spoken words. Now, have you ever spoken to a friend of yours you haven't spoken to in years? picked up the phone. Hey, Bob, I haven't talked to you in 10 years. How's life treating you? Well, you know, it has its ups and downs. Ups, downs. Ups, downs. You know what that creates, right? It's a rhythm. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. I found out through personal experience what it means to have a really bad downtime. But it's not the experience. It's what you do with it to change your rhythm to meet the downtime. Build these drums here. These are called ashikos. This is a very simple drum to build. Takes a little time, but it's a staved drum. And I decided when I was building one back in August to feel what it like to have a table saw run on my finger. Middle tip of my middle finger is now gone. I thought I would never be able to play drums again, ever. I was down. I was really in a downtime. I spent one day crying about it, worrying about it, freaking out over the fact that I wasn't going to be able to play. And then I woke up the next morning and said, you know what? I am. I'm going to change my rhythm. Whether or not I'm able to play exactly like I did before, I'm going to play. 2 months later, my finger was wrapped. I had a mallet in my right hand, and I was playing in a drum circle. It wasn't exactly like I was doing before, but I answered my own rhythm. I said, I have to honor that which is in me. I can't just stop. I can't give in to that chaos. I have to go on. I have to be able to do this. This is my service. So, I healed up. I hit the drum. It hurt. Bad. I talked to my physical therapist, and she said, play your drum. You'll heal faster. Sure enough, I did. So now here I am playing. My point with this, you're going to go through downtimes. You're going to go through uptimes. Your life is a rhythm. It is your choice to honor that rhythm within you, and say, you know what? I'm going to respect my downtime, and I'm going to have that downbeat. Downbeat. I'm going to let the downbeat happen. But I know there's an upbeat next. And when I get to that upbeat, I'm going to go to town. So downs and ups. You have that rhythm in your life. It's all around you. All you have to do is listen. And it's there. That rhythm that's inside of you. When you are honoring that rhythm inside of you, you're also honoring your ancestors' rhythm. Because when you were an egg in your mother, and you just got formed, she was inside her mother. You hear your grandmother's heartbeat. Isn't that weird? But amazing at the same time. You hear your grandmother's heartbeat before you even exist. It's cool. You are tapping into that line of ancestry that you have. So when you play a drum, you are honoring your ancestors in a way that you can't compare to any other way. So, I want to do this. I want to do something really cool right here. Who raised your hand at the beginning? Everybody raise your hand again. Who raised your hand at the beginning? Go on, go on. Don't be afraid. No judgment here. No judgment. All right, cool. All right, excellent. Okay. I'm going to play something very, very simple here. Very easy. I promise you it's not in 9/16. It's going to be 4/4. It's going to be very easy. I'm going to play a beat, and I want you to clap the rhythm that I play. All right? And when I change the rhythm up, I'll warn you ahead of time so we're not going to freak out, okay? So I'm going to play a beat like this. You go clap. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Change. Okay, so all of you who raised your hands at the beginning, you're now going to come to my drum circle and be like the star, right? Because you just showed yourselves that you have rhythm, you'll be able to play a drum. It is inside of you, and you have the ability to do it. The rhythm is inside of you. All you need to do is listen. My name is Eric. Thank you. Yes! Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Eric, you are a gift to this community and to the world, and I hope to see you, all of you, at the drum circle. He said a couple of things that are absolutely germane to the spiritual path, and then we're going to move into meditation. If you can say it, you can play it. All creation begins with the spoken word, the thought behind the spoken word. And when you look at the chaos of the world and the unrest and the darkness of the world, speak it into a greater place, a higher reality. Speak it first, and then you will play it. Live as the example of a greater rhythm, a greater truth. You keep it going. We're not going to go into quiet meditation quite yet. And this is one of the lines that you said that I thought was just absolutely perfect. Play your drum, you'll heal faster. You are a drum. You are a rhythm, not here by any kind of accident. Play your drum. Play your role. And we, as a humanity, will heal faster. You may think that the drum that you are cannot make a difference. Oh, but it is necessary. The vibration and the frequency that you are operating and speaking from and sharing changes the environment. Mike Marinelli came to me and he said there's a thing on YouTube where they put a bunch of metronomes in a room and they just turned them all on, all at different meters, doing their own thing. Within a few moments, metronomes don't do this. All the metronomes were suddenly in sync with each other. Very much like a drum circle of 100 smelly, sweaty men. It made me think of the time that Susie and I were running a group home. And I don't think it's an accident. It's divine appointment. But I lived there with my wife and 9 middle school girls. You ever notice that cycles line up? I knew that because the male dog and I would go for very long walks. But the reality is, the environment will line up with the cycle that you bring into it intentionally. The rhythm attached to a heartbeat of the divine, of divine essence. You are changing the environment. But it must start with finding the music of your very soul first. I'm going to invite the music team to come forward. We're going to have a time of meditation right now, where we absolutely, intentionally drop down into that heartbeat of life, of God, of the very cosmos. And to honor the mathematics that Fibonacci spoke about, as you do that heartbeat, and we're doing it together, we're aligning with all creation and the entire cosmos, such that the spring equinox will be a little bit more powerful than maybe it was last year, because we are in cooperation with a greater, a deeper, and a higher frequency and reality. Let's put the lyrics up there to the song. I'm going to invite you to please sing these words as your intention to go into this sacred, still place. The meditation is going to be very different than any meditation we've done here. Go with the flow. Stay with the heartbeat that will be at the center of it. Let's join our voices and hearts as one.